weren't here for Charlie, you just got to understand nothing's going to happen real quick, and you just have to be patient. And if you don't understand those two things and lose your patience and be unkind to people, you're probably not going to get things done. It's going to take even longer to get things done, right? So just remember that, time and patience. So I'd just like to thank everybody that was organized in the effort after the storm. We had a whole, like it was an army. I mean, I have a list of names that I could rattle off, and I'm sure I missed somebody and somebody would be offended, so I don't want to do that, but just everybody that was involved in all the organization and checking in on people and just doing what you did, that was awesome. And I have to give special, our staff, Sheila and Lorelei, but Helen and Sherry really carried the load. I mean, they were really carrying the ball most of the time. Yeah, Helen and Lorelei aren't here because they're transmitting. Helen Williams still wants to transmitting. Yeah, keep transmitting. Right. So, we're going to hear from Kevin Graham from Sun Coast One Title with any title issues that you might have questions about. Deanna's here too from Sun Coast One. Daniel from Bay Point Lending. I'm sorry, he's the lender. He's going to answer any question you have about lending, and I think Matt Jones.
He's around here somewhere.
Oh, there he is, right there. Matt Jones from Jones Family Insurance. So we'll get into those. Any questions you have about that, or whatever they want to say. But as far as contracts go, we've had a couple of force majeure issues come up that, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I learned some things throughout this. So we had an issue on one contract where the buyer's inspection period ended on September 28th, the day the storm hit, right? But they had the inspection done on September 26th. And they had the report on the 27th. But they wanted to cancel because the guy got freaked out. So we had the listing. So my initial opinion was, well, the storm didn't prevent him from getting his inspection done and reporting back to the listing agent that they were still going to move forward. So my gut was, he can't walk away. Well, when I talked to the attorney at Legal Hotline, she said the fact that the right to cancel extended through the 28th, and that was interfered with by the storm, gives him the option of extending the inspection period for another 7 days, in which time he chose to cancel. So that was something I learned from that not only do the actions you have to take during those periods count, but just the right to do something has to be satisfied. And if that can't be satisfied, then you have the right to extend. So that was a lesson we learned. I'll say kind of the hard way, but that's just the way it came down. We've had a couple condo questions come up where the units themselves weren't really significantly damaged, but the common elements were. But if you look at the condo rider specifically states that the repair clause and any clauses related to maintenance, repairs, all that stuff specifically only relates to the condo unit itself, and it doesn't extend to the common elements, which I was surprised. That doesn't make sense to me, but that's really clear on the condo rider. So if they're having any of those issues, we probably should have a conversation about that. And then, just trying to think, does anybody else have any issues that they're dealing with on contracts that you're kind of in the air about? No? Okay. Well,
The repairs, like they need the full page. Would that, you should say what the money there plus 15% if both sides want to continue.
Repeat
yeah, well,
that question.
okay, that's a good, so Tony's just talking about the repairs clause. So once you get past the force majeure issue, then you're talking about the repairs.
Risk of loss.
What's that?
Risk of loss.
Yeah, the risk of loss clause in the contract. So the risk of loss says that the seller is responsible to pay up to 1.5% of the purchase price to make repairs. And then if the repair cost is going to exceed 1.5%, then I believe the seller can choose to do that and keep the buyer in the deal. But if he's not willing to do that, the buyer can cancel and walk away and get their deposit back. Now, if the repairs can't be made, if they want to move forward, which is what Tony was saying, they want to move forward and not be able to get the repairs done by closing, then you're supposed to escrow 125% of the estimates. And then if the repairs come in below that 125%, the seller would get whatever is left over. If it's above 125%, the seller is still responsible for it, but I won't want to be chasing that guy down for the money. So that might be something to be careful of. If your buyers want to move forward, even though the repairs haven't been completed, I would just be really careful of doing that, because you don't know how good those estimates are going to be. And we'll have Matt talk about that with regard to how the insurance might play in on a claim that might be outstanding. Can you even close on a house? You can't get insurance.
I don't know. I'm sure you can close. You can't get insurance.
Yeah, you can't get insurance if there's an open claim, so your buyer would have to be willing to go forward and buy the property without insurance, right?
Which means you'd have to have no warranty.
Yeah, which means you want to be able to finance it too. So anyway, if you guys don't have any other questions about the contract.
What about an updated seller's disclosure?
Oh, good question.
Is there an obligation on the seller's part?
Well, I mean, I think you're obligated to disclose anything that materially affects the value of the property that's not readily observable, all right? So I would say if there's been any damage that would materially affect the value of the property, I would say, yeah, you should be updating that seller's disclosure. Would you agree? Well, anything that materially affects the value of the property that's not readily observable.
Hey, Jim, would it be prudent just to have all our listings, all of our sellers update their sellers' disclosures?
I would. I mean, I think, why not? I mean, it's going to be a question, right, on every deal. They're going to want to know what the damage is from the storm. So why wait until the question comes up when somebody wants to make an offer? So yeah, I would go ahead and get my sellers to go ahead and update their sellers' disclosures. Yeah, even if they didn't have a lot of damage, just disclose no significant damage or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So, okay?
If someone wants to cancel because they're scared,
If someone wants to cancel just because they're scared, yeah, that doesn't count. But like the guy that wants to cancel, who's using the force majeure clause, he's canceling because he's scared, not because the house was damaged. So, yeah, people are going to try to do that. But if it doesn't qualify for force majeure and doesn't get impacted by the risk of loss, they really can't just walk away from a contract. But I think what you're going to find is a lot of the houses that do have damage, it's going to take a while to figure out how much it's going to cost to get the work done. And if it's anything like Charlie, after the storm, all of a sudden everything got really expensive. Even more expensive than they used to. So, what might have cost, a pool cage that might have cost $30,000 before Charlie was all of a sudden now $50,000. And it took a while to get them done. So that's another thing to be aware of. And it's going to take time to get estimates and everything. So that's where, if the force majeure clause goes into effect, if you can't close within 30 days, basically it's going to be a dead deal, or you're going to have to extend the closing date. Okay?
all things that need to be fixed or repaired have to be done prior to closing, right?
Well, if they were, all is, if it's a minor thing, they could agree to adjust the price or whatever they want to do, but anything that would affect your ability to get a mortgage or to get insurance would have to be done if they needed that. Okay. Does anybody else have anything on contracts?
Question over here, Jim.
Yeah. Well, the day of the event would be the day to start counting, so you
Repeat the
start the day
question.
after would be day one, is what I would say. So
Jim, repeat the question.
when does the force majeure period start? So the day that the services and utilities and everything were not available. So in our case, I think it would have been the 28th, right? So then I would say the 29th would be day one, 30th day two, so you'd go out to probably October 5th, right? Right, that's a great question, thank you. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to, where you go?
I was just giving the actual definition. If it exceeds, then they can take it as is with the 1.5% or receivable.
Okay, so Brett just corrected me a little bit. If the repairs are gonna exceed 1.5% of the purchase price, the buyer has the option of either taking the property in the condition that it's in, but
With
they,
the 1.5%.
with the 1.5%, or they walk away. So that's the option that the buyer has. But keep pulling that back up.
If it exceeds the 1.5%.
Microphone.
So the contract says that if it exceeds the 1.5%, the buyer can choose to take it in the as-is condition plus the 1.5% that the seller would contribute, or walk away and receive their deposit.
Yeah. So the buyer's in control, not the seller.
But with that being said, though, if the buyer and the seller wanted to
Well-
renegotiate the deal,
They can, but still.
They can.
I know the buyer has the right at that point.
yeah, the buyer has the right.
Later on, they can say, I'll take a 1.5%, I'm out.
But if they want to renegotiate the deal to take into account the repairs, there's nothing that says they can't. Right?
Correct.
Yeah, if they're financing it, they're going to be needing insurance, and in order to get insurance, they can't do that with an open claim. So like my brother-in-law is affected by this, right? He was under contract. He was supposed to close September 30th. The house had, it's not a tear down, but it has more than 1.5% of the purchase price in damage. So and his son's house got destroyed over here in Port Charlotte. So he's feeling pressured to get a roof over their heads. So we're actually probably going to talk to the listing agent and see if we might be able to work out some kind of a rental until they can get the repairs done, and then close once the repairs are done. But that's kind of a tricky proposition, and I don't know if I would be entering into that lately, so just be careful. If you get into those situations, give me a call, give Brett a call, give Nancy a call, give Vicky a call, Karen and Ken, Leslie, somebody that's been in the game for a while.
Or they can call legal hotline.
Or, the legal hotline is always a good option. I mean, I've had mixed results from it, and if I don't feel comfortable with the answer I get the first time, I just call back and see if I can find
Call back and ask,
somebody else that'll agree with what I think.
It's like
Well,
calling Comcast.
ask for
no,
Ann.
seriously.
Don't even mention Comcast.
Sorry, buddy, sorry.
Seriously, the legal hotline is a great resource. And you go, and I'll wrap this up and turn it over to these guys, but just keep in mind too, Keller Williams has the emergency relief grants, right, for $5,000. You're gonna talk about that? Okay, all right, but also Florida Realtors, you're gonna talk about Florida Realtors? No. Okay, Florida Realtors has a grant, so go on the website. I was on there yesterday. You do have to have a lot of information, like you have to have estimate, cost, you have to be able to provide them your insurance claim information. So that's something, I would do all the other legwork you need to do and then go to Florida Realtors, but just remember, that's there for your benefit, okay?
They also have the Disaster Relief Fund and Silent Angels. Silent Angels is another organization that Florida Realtors has, and they also have the Disaster Relief Fund.
Yeah, well, the Disaster Relief Fund is where the grants are coming from.
Yep.
But there's also, Karen's saying there's also something called Silent Angels.
It's very much like KW Cares.
It's like KW Cares. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin and answer any of your title questions.
Hi guys, I'm glad you're all safe. I'm glad you're all here. I don't know that I have all of the answers, that's for sure. The the history that I have is we went through Charlie, and we saw a real estate market that was short of inventory. Values went up. Values went crazy because everybody was fighting for the same house, just like we were 4 months ago. So that's a good thing. I would tell you anything that's got windows and a roof is probably going to sell really quick, because in 60 days when people have checks in their hands and they have no house to live in and they are trying to get back to town, they're going to be ready to buy a house. Right now, we are making calls to everybody that we have files for that was supposed to close from Tuesday on, because we closed Tuesday afternoon. The questions will be, do your buyer and seller still want to close? Is there damage to the property? And of course, the big thing is if there's damage to the property, do both parties still agree? If they agree, we'll close it. That's the big thing for us. We cannot advise customers what their legal rights are. We're absolutely forbidden from doing that. So we're going to tell people that they should, consult their own attorneys. If the seller says there's no damage to the house, if it's a mortgage purchase, the mortgage company is probably going to want to re-inspect it. That's been typical. So the cash deals we can close right away. It just depends on whether the property's in a condition the buyer still wants it. The only other thing, I lost my train of thought there. So yeah, if they're gonna want reinspection. Oh, the one thing I will tell you too though is we cannot. This is a specific question, and it's one that came up a lot before, but now it's coming up again today. We cannot escrow for damages and not tell the mortgage company. It's absolutely illegal to do. And I'm telling you, we won't do it, but we just legally can't, okay? And you guys don't want to be involved in anything that is outside the law. You want to protect your own license, because in 6 months we all want to still be working and still be doing what we're doing. I will also tell you, and I will caution you, that the one thing that I see realtors get in trouble for, and I've told you guys this for years, is you try to be super helpful because you care about people, and then you get caught in a ringer because you gave somebody legal advice. So be really careful what lines you cross, and what you're doing. Don't be the mortgage guy, don't be the insurance guy, and don't be the attorney. Because in our history, we have seen good realtors get in trouble because they're trying to be helpful. And the best you can do is, refer them to the experts. So, is there any specific title questions right now about closing, whatever I can answer for you guys? No, that's it. That was easy.
How many closings do you have today?
We have about 16 today. They're all cash.
You got 4 offices open, right?
We actually have 4 offices open. Punta Gorda opened this morning. Venice just opened a half an hour ago. Englewood and Port Charlotte are still closed. But so Sarasota's open. Venice just opened. Northport's open. So, and we're on a limited staff, and so we're trying to get to everybody as soon as possible. And we are. I hate to say it. We're conserving resources. We don't know what's going to close, because it's all cash, and we know for the next 60 days it's going to be an interesting business flow, and I hate to say that, but we're going to try to help all our people as much as we can, but we have to make it that first 60 days, so we can't bring 30 people back to work today, and that's a hard part.
Repeat the
It's
question.
vacant land, it doesn't matter. There's no insurance on the trees, so. Yeah.
I know, I tried.
Carol, just make sure your sign's not in somebody's house, because you want to hide the evidence.
Right. So yeah, vacant land is easy. That's mostly what we have closing today. Vacant land, cash, that kind of stuff. People are still moving forward with some of that. And if it's a mortgage, that's going to be your holdup. I'm going to let Dan talk about that more than me. So come on, Dan, I'll bring you up.
You guys have damage on the Charlotte office.
Around our Port Charlotte office, we had a bunch of beautiful oak trees.
Yeah.
and the power is on to everybody around us except for us. So the plaza has no power, even though your office has power, the hotel has power. So until we get trees off the power lines,
Oh, so the trees are gone.
yeah, it's a mess there. That big beautiful tree as you drive into your office right there, that thing is a mess. And all the ones behind us, they're destroyed, but that stuff will grow back. Anyway, any other questions? Guys, I'm here to help you. If you need anything, call. Feel free, please call. We'll answer everything we can. Unfortunately, some of it's going to be, how do I debate, like, who gets the earnest money, and if they're going to fight over it, it's technically, it's an escrow dispute, and I've got to deal with it the same way as always. It's just going to be a lot more of them than there used to be. God bless you all.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daniel Hughes with Bayport Lending. First, glad to see all of you here. You're all safe. I'm local right here in Port Charlotte. But just like Kevin said, the number one thing I'm going to tell you is if you have a financing deal right now, they are going to want an inspection. So if an appraisal has already happened and been done, they are going to want what we call a re-inspection. Most of the time, that has to be done by the appraiser. So, just as you guys can imagine, there could be a backlog starting. So the first thing I would do is reach out to your lender on any of your deals and say, are we going to need a re-inspection on this home? And it has to be done by the appraiser. It can't be done by the home inspector. So that log is going to start building up. And there's some areas where appraisers might not be able to get to. So then we start looking into delays. The next thing when you're talking to your lender about a deal that you currently have, rate lock extensions. If this was locked back 30 days ago, rates have gotten higher. They're gonna have to extend that lock. It could cost them money. So those are the two first things I would be reaching out about to any of your finance deals that are going on currently. You guys have heard a lot about the repair escrows. Those are allowed. Certain banks and lenders allow repair escrows for certain things. So a roof is not gonna be a repair escrow. Maybe a door, flooring that got flooded, things like that you can put in the repair escrow, but you need to ask your lender, and it can happen still mid-deal. You can ask that. So those are the three biggest things I wanted to tell you guys, is the appraisal re-inspections, the rate lock extensions, and then the repair escrows. The other thing you're gonna see floating around a lot, there is a program that's not talked about, and it's called a 203H. If you have something to write that down, it is an FHA loan. It is a disaster loan. It's 100% financing. If somebody who currently owns a home or is renting a home that has completely lost use of their home and has significant damage, practically a complete tear down, FHA will finance up to 100% and relocate that person. All they gotta pay is closing costs, and you can still get up to 6% closing costs from the seller. So people are going to start exploring that very quickly. Just like Kevin said, they're gonna get their insurance and they're gonna start looking. The other thing is they can start now. They don't have to wait for that insurance. So you can start reaching out to your lenders and banks and seeing if they offer that. It's not offered or well known, but it's gonna start popping up very, very quickly. So it's called an FHA 203H mortgage. Start inquiring about it.
Can it be used for refis?
So depending on if it's for a home that's practically been gone, so you're most likely not going to refinance the house if it's completely inhabitable. You might be looking into then a repair like a 203K or also a home style renovation. Those are repair loans that you can do as a refinance.
Yeah, but they're limited on dollar amount. You can only do what, 35 on a 203K?
On a 203K? No, you can actually go higher.
Can you?
So, yep. There is a conventional renovation loan called a home style renovation that has no max. The problem that's going to be with the renovation loan is it's got to be done by contractors. Getting that queue is going to be the hardest part, is getting that work. And these repair loans have a 6-month time frame. I imagine lenders are going to start extending that out, but that has not been released yet. So if the house is completely gone and they got to relocate, it's the 203H, it'll be a purchase. And actually they can leave anywhere in the United States. It does not have to be here in Florida. They can get up and go to Mississippi if they want to. So yeah, those, and it includes renters. That's the big key. I think a lot of people don't realize is they're living in a rental and the house is gone. They can utilize that purchase program. Yes, sir.
Does that work for like co-ops also, where you don't own the land?
No, so it'll still follow FHA guidelines. So it still has to be fee simple and they gotta own the land, so it won't work in co-ops.
Okay.
So it'll still follow FHA guidelines and rules. It's just an extra mortgage insurance that allows up to 100% financing.
Got it.
And it's gotta be a presidential disaster area. So not all of Florida, right, was a disaster area as of yet, I don't think. It's just certain counties are gonna start listing that will be eligible.
Okay, makes sense.
That was a 203H. Yeah, so it will go down to 580 is the minimum. So FHA does go down to 500, but on this program, they're gonna want a 580. The other thing, if you wanna tell your clients or even for yourself, some mortgage companies are going to automatically put you into a forbearance. Most of the time, they'll do 90 days. If anybody needs, they can call their servicing company and request up to 12 months. But you can at least get 90 days to start if you need to.
Isn't that a bad thing with forbearance? That's gonna shorten your credit, right?
Repeat the question.
They're gonna add plus fees to the back of the loan?
So it does just get pushed back to the end of the loan. So it doesn't affect your credit wise, but it does affect the payoff. Yep. It is not free, but if you can't make your mortgage payment, it's better than having 30-day lates on your mortgage or on your credit report, excuse me.
So it doesn't affect it at all?
The other thing about the 303H mortgage, which is kind of interesting, that just triggered in my head, is if there are late payments due to the hurricane, then those get excused. So during underwrite, it becomes a manual underwrite, so it's not automated like we normally do. And then if there are already lates that happened after the hurricane or the disaster, then those do not get counted.
Matt Jones, you want to do insurance? Matt, you want to do insurance?
The rate lock? So you just want to ask for a rate lock extension. So if you know the contract's going to have to be extended and that rate lock is expiring today, they need to get that extended, because if it does not get locked, it goes into what we call worst case pricing. So pricing was better just 30 days ago. Rates have gone up. They keep coming up and down, right? So they possibly could go into a worse interest rate, which could start qualifying and all that other good stuff starts happening. She's asking if there's any allowance for rate lock extensions. Some lenders and banks could possibly allow maybe a 10 to 15 day extension, but if it starts getting into 30, 60, 90, that's gonna be a cost, I'm gonna imagine. Yes, good question.
Matt?
You ready, Matt, for all your insurance questions? Well, thank you, everybody. Glad you guys are safe. I think I do it in my
Carol,
bag, yes, ma'am.
did you bring your frozen drinks you keep posting about on Facebook?
Man, Carol,
Hi, everybody. Sorry to see you in this manner, that's for sure. But insurance, I'm sure you guys are gonna have a lot of questions, and that's okay. That's why we're here. But insurance right now going forward, the biggest thing that I'm getting and the questions that I'm getting asked is, can we start work on our house? What can we do right now? The biggest thing is to hurry up, go ahead and file your claim. And once you file your claim, if there is anything wrong to your house or your property that may cause liability or that may cause damage to, your house, being like more ruined, or if you have shingles off, get those roofs tarped if need be. Even if you don't think you have a leak, you may have a leak, because you could have a drip here, drip there, and then in 8-9 months, you have a mold growing or something like that. And then the insurance carrier is gonna say, well, how do we know that happened, 8-9 months ago? So I would totally right now get with a roofer, get your roofs topped if need be, okay? And they will reimburse for that because they would rather you mitigate that now so that they don't have to pay big bucks later, okay? Yeah, go ahead.
One tarp question.
Okay.
The question was, do I tarp and put nails in my roof and then I'm damaging my roof? Or do I say I have tar on my roof, it is intact on the tar, and I three people have asked me that question. I'm not giving them the answer. I just want to kind of know.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. You have,
Hey, repeat the question. 'Cause I didn't-
the question was, she's had 3 people ask her, when I tarp my roof right now, do I go ahead and put nails in the tarp? They're gonna put, holes in there, or I have tar on there and leave it like that because I don't wanna damage my roof anymore. That's a really good question. I would say that if you have missing shingles, a wide area of missing shingles is gonna be way worse than a home nail, and the insurance company is gonna, if you have to put a nail in it, they would rather you put a nail in it than not tarp it, okay? And I know some people I've seen sandbags up there, I've seen cinder blocks and things like that. I would just make sure it is done, try to get it done by a roofer, okay? And get a receipt for it, okay? Get a receipt so that you can submit that, whether it goes against your deductible or they reimburse you, in pocket for it, you need to get credit for that. A lot of roofers will, if there's big, massive areas, will put down the SWR right now, because they're like, yeah, this is a total new roof. So I've seen a lot of them, they put down the SWR that melts like tar when sun hits it, so no more. So you can do either or, but I would say get those roofs tarped so that you have no more leaks or any other damage going forward. Once the roof is tarped, right, and then you're looking at your drywall and the inside, you have water damage in the ceiling like me or a lot of other people, you want to mitigate that too. You want to dry that up. So it's a beautiful weather right now. Open all your windows, okay? That circulation of the air will help dry it out. If you need like a remediation person to come in there with fans, you can even open the windows and put fans on it too. It just depends on how saturated it is. But if you need remediation, you think you do, mold crawls. So even if you're like, oh, we swept it out, we got the water out, you still have insulation behind that, okay? That will sit there sopped in the insulation that will cause it later. So if you need to, get that in there, have somebody test it, and they'll put fans on it so that you don't have to rip out your whole house. Insurance companies would rather pay for someone to come put fans in your house to remediate that so you don't have mold growing than them to rip out all the sheetrock and insulation later, okay? If you have trees down in your yard or on your roof and people are like, I don't know, like I should wait, get them out, okay? Because that's a liability to you. Somebody gets hurt on your property, we know the hurricane put it down, but if someone gets hurt, that's liability on you. Get it out, cut it up, or whatever, save the receipt, okay? Go ahead, Paige.
Does it only count for trees that are like on your roof or obstructing your driveway, or can it be your whole yard? Like we have.
So
I don't know if I'm gonna get reimbursed.
Yeah, so I would say that the it depends on every carrier, right? Every carrier has their own policies and procedures that they put in place. I would say 90% of the policies call for debris removal as a whole, okay? So if you have a bunch of debris, whether it's somebody's pool cage in your yard or trees in your yard, that's considered debris. Okay, so you can remove it, put it by the street, and take pictures. I forgot. Take pictures of everything before you do it. Please, take pictures, because that's the only way that the insurance company will say we're not going to reimburse you. Oh, how do we know it was there? So please take pictures and send them to your agents. whoever the agent is, send them to them. They'll keep a good file of them. That way, if you need them. Amanda, did you have a question? Pictures? Did you? Chris?
What if we do the work ourselves, like removing all 6 trees?
If you do the work yourselves, it's gonna, yeah. She said, write yourself a receipt. I'm not saying you can't do it yourself. It's truly gonna probably depend on the carrier. Honestly, I mean, you had to remove it, right? Because it was a liability. It was on your roof. You had the means to do it, so you had a chainsaw. Listen, why was I gonna call somebody? I'm actually saving you money. Some will be gracious with that, and maybe some won't. So it's really just gonna depend on the carrier, honestly, but.
The shingles are off, but it's down to the heel of the stick, and we were blowing the debris off the roof, but all the shingles were flapping.
Okay.
But they look good. But you put grease on it, they're flapping.
So the statement question is, we have a lot of shingles off the roof, and it's down to the peel and stick. We were blowing it off, and all the shingles were flapping. Tarp the roof. Tarp that roof ASAP, because again, that's mitigating any further damage. Okay, and just tarp it, and then the adjuster will come out. They've been pretty responsive to me and my office so far. I know a lot of people. No. I think Karen Brock's people are coming out, or came out yesterday or something like that. And mine are coming out tomorrow. They've been super responsive. Don't wait to put in a claim. The faster you put in your claim, there's millions of people out there putting in claims. So you're just going on a list, and they're gonna work off that list, okay? So don't be shy about putting in a claim.
I was just gonna say, for my insurance company in particular, they said to make a pile of all the shingles and debris, so when the adjuster comes out, they can see that. So if you don't mind keeping that on your property, as long as there's no obstruction, that would make it easier for the claim.
Yeah, she said that her carrier told her that to make, when they're cleaning up the yard, to make a pile of all the debris, whether it's their debris or somebody else's that was on the yard shingles, and that will make it easier for the adjuster to see. If you can't keep it on your yard, like in my neighborhood, they're already coming around and picking it up if it's on the side of the road. Just make sure you take a picture of that, okay? I mean, a lot of people lost shingles. They're gonna know that, yeah, okay, you know, Matt Jones lost shingles on his roof. They're gonna be able to tell by looking at it, you know, so they really shouldn't give you an issue with that. If you can, if they're there when they can, but the county's already like moving and picking stuff up, and you can't really tell the county, no, don't take mine. Yeah?
On the page, if you lost some of your, like, our whole wall caved in, but then we have some beams missing on the other parts of the cave. Should we take the case down? I mean, it's flimsy, but take pictures and take it down, or just let it stay here?
You already put in your claim? The question was, our pool cage is like half down and it's flimsy, should we take it down? And the answer is, if you've already put in your claim and taken pictures, yes, because that could cause more damage. If for some reason we get some wind, and if it's flapping that much, that could go smash a window. And to get a window right now, they're probably back ordered till the summertime, so that's gonna, take it down, your cage.
I'm getting questions about what is typical coverage for a full cage or a fence? Because a lot of people are finding that there's no coverage or it's very.
Okay, so this is a huge, I'm glad you asked that question, because this is a huge question, controversy, statement in the insurance world is, my pool cage isn't covered under my policy, or is it covered? And I will tell you this, there is only one carrier that I know of that includes it into your dwelling costs, okay? Your actual dwelling. All the rest of the carriers, you have to add that. It is an endorsement, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you drive around right now, you probably see 80% of pool cages torn down, or half, right? It's the first thing to go in the hurricane. Our houses are built to block. That is gonna go. So it is not, even though it's connected to your house, okay, it is not the same material, and they do not include that as part of the dwelling. So
Do they
when you,
call it an other structure?
no, it will be labeled. When I go in to do a policy, I literally have to click on pool cage endorsement, and I add whatever amount of coverage I want to it. It usually starts at 10,000, so I'll add 10,000, 15, 20, whatever. I will say this, pool cages are expensive to insure. So a lot of times, when we go to insure them, I say, you have a pool cage, you want to insure it? How much is it? I've had a lot of people, it's like $300 or $400 a year, and like, oh no, forget it, I'll just take the risk. Unfortunately, it's not gonna be covered. Fences, those would be other structures or other structures attached to the house is how we, the agents, would label it, okay? And as long as they're attached to the house, they should be covered under the dwelling. If they're screwed into the house. Talk to me after, I don't want to say that. So yes, fences too.
Could they be covered as personal property?
No. Personal property, that's a good question too. A lot of people ask me, well, what's personal property? Which part of the dwelling? The easiest way that I explain it to people is this. If it is attached to the inside of your home, it is part of the dwelling. So that means chandeliers, ceiling fans, appliances, no TV, personal property. Because just the rack and the anchor is. That's personal property. All that stuff is considered part of the dwelling if it's screwed in. If you just can't take it easy, that's part of the dwelling, okay? Everything else, couches, TVs, lamps, all that, that is all personal property, okay? So if somebody's like, oh my gosh, in some of these bigger homes, I have a $5,000 chandelier, like, that's part of the dwelling. They'll get reimbursed for that.
What about your vehicle? When I called to make my claim, they asked me for damage on that. Do you count that as your homeowner's, or is that under your vehicle insurance?
It should go under your vehicle insurance as a comprehensive claim.
Yeah.
Under the hurricane, no, yeah.
They just asked me.
It would.
That was weird.
Yeah.
And I did have.
I don't know why they would ask you. I mean, if a tree fell on it, maybe, but that's really going to be covered under a comprehensive claim. And there's been a lot of boat claims and auto claims already for that, especially the ones that got flooded, like flooded out and stuff like that. Absolutely.
I just threw out 8 garbage bags full of food in my refrigerator. How do I know if I should turn my refrigerator in?
If you should turn your refrigerator or the food?
The refrigerator is full of yuck in the bottom, and I wiped out what I could, but I can see stuff that I can't get out. That, like, I just don't know.
So your appliances are covered under your dwelling. So if it's just like, I would have to see it, but if it's something wrong and it's broke, like say the power went out and so it ruined it, or the storm came in, water came in through your ceiling, ruined it, that's considered under the dwelling, because it's appliance.
But can spoiled food damage it?
Spoiled food, report that,
No,
absolutely.
but can the spoiled food damage the refrigerator? How do I know that it did?
Like the juices and stuff? Oh, it could for sure. I'm not an appliance guy, but I would put, listen, if you're questioned about something, truthfully, if you're like, oh, should I put this in, should I not? Submit it. Because the worst they can do is say no, right? But in a tragedy like this, I'm telling a lot of people, they don't have time to sit there and sift through all these bills. The amount of help that they would have to hire, they already know that millions of people got affected. So what if it was just your home, you're like, oh, I lost power last night and my refrigerator stuff ruined they're probably gonna investigate that a little more. Right now, that stuff, they're gonna write a $500 check for a refrigerator. I'm not saying that they will, but it's more likely that they would. They're not gonna give you a half cent.
Hey, Matt, you're gonna be around while we're eating for personal questions, if so, right?
Yeah.
Specific.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that all right if we kind of move on to the next, and he'll be around if anyone asks him?
And I put my cell phone on there last night. You guys can text me too.
Perfect, thank you. Matt Patterson is gonna come up and talk about the two buildings and KW, and then Brett and I are gonna talk about what KW cares and those types of things that are available for you guys.
How you guys doing? God Family Business, I want to start there. That's why I joined this company, and it's real. I'll try to keep it together. I'll be honest, it's been a rough few days. And then I realized I'm not in control. He's in control. And, you know, we're helping people, and that's really what matters. And then things started happening for me. He's in there fixing our buildings right now, but Brian was freshen up. I wanted to mention him. One thing I don't like is I don't like seeing everybody getting taken advantage of and these crazy prices. So know that we've got vendors that Brian, I've worked with him for 15 years, and he probably saved my building last night. Here she is. There's his wife. He's going to be here. There he is. So Brian, he didn't really want to talk, but I mean, like Brian, I mean, I've known him for 15 years, and he's got connections too. So, you know, reach out to us and let's network that way. Right. So, but God Family Business, that's why we came here, right? And it's real. So don't forget that. There's a lot of KW Care stuff that she's going to talk about, we're going to get through this. The buildings. Well, they look like, I'll keep it child-proof, they look like crap. But the good news is we're getting them dried in. AC should be going in this one today. I just got off the phone with him. And they're gonna look better than ever. So we're gonna come back stronger than ever. So just stay positive and know that we're in this together. So that's what I've got.
Okay, Brett is gonna come up with me because our KW Cares, I think everybody has heard from one of us at least once about the things that are going on. On our regional call, they have really encouraged us, if you need the $5,000, don't use the, oh, someone is worse than I am, because everybody has already donated and they have millions of dollars to give. That's what that is for. So if you, I know some of you are having internet access issues. We do have limited internet access. I will tell you, I swear at T-Mobile on a daily basis, but I will tell you, T-Mobile saved me through this hurricane. So we do have a mobile like hotspot type thing that if you need to fill out something while you're here, you can do that. Okay, and Kevin has internet in his Punta Gorda office and his Northport office that you can use as well. So that's the grant. They do have a life-altering grant that they, and in all transparency, the life-altering grants are not being reviewed as quickly as the $5,000 emergency grants. So do the $5,000 emergency grant first. We already have people who have gotten their money for it. And then they're going to start looking at the life-altering grants. They do say that you have to work with us for 6 months. Just click yes, I have if you did not, and move on to the next. We can work all those details out at the end is what Region has told me. We have given, I think, most people generators. I do know there are a couple people here today who need generators, and I did have them brought into the building, so you don't have to go anywhere for those. Generators, gas cans, electric cords, and oil have all been distributed. We still have about 40 left. Again, I can get more. It's for you and your immediate family. So if you have a mom, a mother-in-law, a sister-in-law, an aunt, an uncle, then we can help with those as well. We have also been able to establish, yesterday we got some supplies in, a command unit at our Port Charlotte office. They set that up within the training room, and
The main, oh, it's just all in the training room. And I haven't been there yet, so I'm gonna let Brett talk to you about what's in there. More truckloads should be coming. Also, if you think of any supply that you need that we have not thought of, text it to me. I can text Region and they'll source it out. Gloves, trash bags, moving boxes. They're working on moving boxes as of yesterday. So any of that, and I'm gonna ask you to text it to me, because if you tell me now, I can promise you my brain is so fried I'm not gonna remember it. Those are there. Any supplies, they are doing restoration, tarping, large tree removal if it's blocking access in your homes. If you have any of that you need, KW has contracts with local vendors who will come out and do the work, and KW Cares pays for it. It's at no cost to any of you. We just have to get your names on the list. We do have several for that. If you have not, because you've used the attitude, oh, everybody's worse than I am, please don't. Again, that's what the money is donated for.
Sherry, is there a deadline for applying for either the emergency grant or the life altering?
Not as of right now that we've been told.
Can you repeat the questions?
Oh, I was asked, yes, sorry, I've been doing that the whole time, sorry. I was asked, is there a deadline for those? Life-altering grants are always available through KW Cares. You can get them for medical illnesses, fires, any type of traumatic disaster or personal event. The emergency grants, we have not been told that there is a deadline for those, but I will find out for you. For those of you that are signed up for BOLD, I'm still waiting to find out the dates and what we're doing with that, so I'll get back to that. Anything else? If you guys need anything, please reach out, because I will find you someone that can do something, or my husband and my sons will be there doing it. One or the other, those are the choices. I can say that because they're not here.
Are any of these resources available to customers that are out of town or out of the country that can't?
Not through KW Cares, no. We might be able to connect them to vendors, but not through KW Cares. That's for ourselves and our families. Anything else? And Brett is going to talk about, oh, the other thing, I need people who are willing to volunteer, because we would like to man the Port Charlotte Command Center. Before, it's kind of been appointment only because it was only generators. But we would like to, we're going to try to open it today at 3. And tomorrow we would like to have it open from 9 to 5. So if we could have volunteers that can help us man it, hopefully by tomorrow, Brett and I will have a good system in place to make it as easy as possible. Again, if you're willing to volunteer, shoot me a text. Shoot me a text because I won't remember.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, like, I have more time Thursday.
Okay.
Be there for that. More time.
Yeah, but I don't want to just assume that someone that signed up floor time is going to be willing to volunteer. So if you're interested, text me and we'll get the volunteer list out. Do you guys have any other questions about KW Cares or what we can do? Okay, Brett? Talk about the supplies. Oh, Matt, about the business.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt. You talk, because you've been through other ones.
Well, I haven't been through a hurricane like this, but I mean, we just went through COVID, right? I mean, it's like it keeps hitting us. But we had 4 leads yesterday. And they weren't all sellers wanting out of here, by the way. So it's going to come back. I mean, you know, so I just want everybody to be positive about that and know that. That's all I was sharing with her.
Brett,
go ahead.
Here, I've got this one too, so I'll just pass that in case somebody wants to chime in. So, I'm probably going to lose it a little bit. This KW family is amazing. 2 of my favorite OPs besides this one, James Torrance and Natasha Tello, have been instrumental in bringing stuff up to us. We had KW Angels from New Orleans bringing generators, and a lot of my tech family up in Tampa, Clearwater, loading up another semi. Seeing that big red truck come into the office, it's not just a toy that sits on Sherry's shelf. It's real. Didn't want to experience it, but we did. It's real. But the L5L group, Coral Gables, Pembroke Pines, Plantation, just all over, Natasha's Market Centers. James Torrance came up personally, delivered goods. So we have supplies set up. I want to just point out Jose Fernandez because he was instrumental in setting everything up. Those of you guys that have been on like regional team meetings, he is a master. Well, I'll say he's like a master of disaster, but he's on the angel side of that, right? Like he comes in after a disaster and he was a machine. All right, this goes here, this goes here, this is what we got to do. So when you go to the training room, all the supplies are set up on certain tables. The walls or the floor or the tables are marked with what's there. Here's what we have, and then I'll tell you what we need. And I've already put that notice in this morning to Natasha and a couple other people, so hopefully that stuff will be arriving. We have a lot of canned foods. We have some fresh fruit there. We have loads and loads of water. We still have 40 generators, roughly 40 generators, like Sherry said. Let's see, what else? We have all kinds of cleaning products. There's shovels there for those that had water damage and need to demuck their house or anything like that. We have diapers, but very few. There's only like 2 sizes there right now. But I have asked for that. So I've asked for more baby products. We have, it's funny, when Jose came in and knew what he was doing, we realized what we don't have. So we need flashlights, batteries, first aid type stuff, pharmaceuticals, like over the counter type pharmaceuticals, like headache medicine, cold medicine, things like that. More baby supplies, or infant, toddler supplies. We need baby food and diapers of more sizes. Let's see, we need
Pets.
we do not have any pet stuff yet, so that's a good point. Yeah, I know, right? They're family too, I know. Let's see, we need female, and we need men's and women's hygiene products. We have almost none. However, Kim said that she has a bunch of her collection of hotel visit toiletries that she's going to donate, so that's awesome. So we can at least get a start there. So I appreciate that. And then those are the major things that we don't have. Okay, so and we'll add pet supplies to the list because that's a good point. But Sherry and I are gonna, yeah, Matt.
Are you guys calling your people enough? That's the other thing, because the thing I've realized lately.
Matt is all about business here. He's all about business.
No, their needs are changing.
It's all about
You talk to them in the very beginning, and we've got a generator, we've got this and this, everything's good, and next thing you know, something went down. I mean, I know, it seems like every day we've woken up and Darren and I had a plan. Okay, we're going to do this and do this, and then something worse happens, and then that changes. Well, their needs are changing too. So just make sure, even if you talked to them 5 days ago, keep checking in with them, because
The command mass texting thing is a savior, because I would not have time to text all of you other than that way. So if you don't know how to use that, use that. What did you say?
I thought you were sending me all of those on an individualized basis.
I'm sorry. Some of them I did.
Jeez, way to spill the beans, Sherry.
The other thing I want to say is thank you for everyone who has volunteered and asked to do things. When we unloaded the initial generators, I only counted on a few of my group leaders only because it was a fluid situation. I know I don't want anyone to be upset that they were not included in those. It was fluid. We waited from 4 p.m. on Thursday until 8 p.m. on Friday. To actually get them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe it was Saturday. It was literally, hey, be there at 3. Nope, now be there at 4. Nope, now be there at 5.
So it was a lot of sitting around there all day, and we didn't really want to burden people with that. So
2:30 in the morning, and I get a text at 2:15.
Well, and then there's a curfew.
Yeah, 2 a.m. That's right. Jim was sitting somewhere at 2 a.m. because that's when the truck was supposed to get there. At 1:59, I got, no, it's 3:30 now, and Jim calls me. And our texting weren't always going through. So just so you know, I appreciate the people that have volunteered. It's not that I haven't reached out. Now's the time we're really going to need your help for the supplies and the things that can be a little more organized.
So I'll be reaching out for volunteers. We're gonna run the command center in 2 shifts of volunteers every day. Or we'll figure out, so we're gonna go like 3 to 5 days at a time, figure out how long it needs to go. Okay, and then again, this is all advisement from Jose, who's done this for every major hurricane. So we've got good leadership there, and we'll instill what he's told us, and we'll get that out. So you'll be hearing from either me or Sherry today, looking for volunteers so we can run those shifts. I think we're gonna need somewhere between 6 and 8 people in the building for each shift, but we'll get a better handle on that and let everybody know. Also, if anybody still needs a generator and you have a hard time with the pull starts, or you have an elderly family member or something that is gonna have a hard time with that, the ones in Port Charlotte are actually electric start. They're also dual fuel, so they have propane and regular gas. And our angels from South Florida actually brought us 10 5-gallon full gas cans, so that if you do have somebody who's elderly or shut in, they don't have to go find gas for that first
And
fill.
we have had reports, I know the 7-Eleven on Jones Loop had no line when I was coming in today. Wendy Decker just got an email, said Walmart has gas and there's no line, so we are seeing that come back.
I was at 7-Eleven, Toledo Blade and Price this morning, and I got right in. So it was like 7.
What questions? Hold on 1 second. Up here, can you guys, I can't hear him. Go ahead, what?
So if you want to run the generator on propane, you need a fitting that's different than what they use for the barbecue.
Yeah. So we need to check what you got though, because I opened mine and I have all the fittings in there. In fact, that one even comes with the dryer plug that you need if you had your box wired for that kind of hookup. The plug, you have to put a wire on it, but it has the plug. So we just got to check the inventory of that box. Okay, it should have everything you need to get going except oil. The Ryobis came with oil, and we gave everybody an extra quart of oil because we didn't realize that. The
Generac came with oil.
And the dual fuel, not the electric start ones.
Yeah.
They come with the oil too.
Okay.
And the cord gets ready to roll.
Okay, so the Duramax, I think, is what
Is
the
up there
ones
now.
we have up there now. It does not come with the oil, so make sure you get the oil for that.
Okay. What other questions do you guys have for you? Remember, you're texting me supplies, and if you're volunteering, and I know Tony Gasitis wanted to say something.
Let me just, Tony, just real quick, I want to update everybody on the building. Matt Jones, thank you, sir, wherever you are. He got on the horn right away, and we got a crew in there yesterday. They've already started drying out the 3 units. The Gasitis team, unfortunately, probably had the most damage up there, but they all had water damage from those 4-foot soffits blowing in and rain coming in and all that. But they're already drying out. It's going to be about a 6-day process to dry out, and that's before we even start rebuilding. So I'm guessing that that office is not going to be fully functional for at least a month. We'll kind of keep everybody updated on when we get internet. You know, just because the power's on doesn't mean that the internet's on, because all the cable lines are going to get fixed after the power gets fixed. So, you know, like Kevin said, he's already got internet at his office in Punta Gorda, so that's a good sign. Hopefully it'll get here soon. But anyway, that's the status on the building there. All right, they tarped the roof too, so we'll minimize the damage.
Also, our printer status here. I have a small hotspot that they're going to try to connect it to, but you have to direct connect your computers right now. So if you do need to print, if you hang out, we'll hopefully get that working as well. Then the tech room, we'll be able to set those up with tables. If anyone didn't see, we do have the smaller tables in there now. We are using my hotspot. You guys are more than welcome to come in. We'll set up that tech room and work. Okay? Okay, and Matt and them said they should be out of that place because that's where they're at now. They should be out by tomorrow. So you'll be able to. Do we have tarps? We do not, but if you need, okay, if you need, they're giving away tarps, but also if you need something tarped, I can put you on my list to get there.
I don't know if they're still set up, but they've been there for days. Darren was there. Darren, where was it? Muscle Car City?
Yes.
They have been huge. They are set up there, and they have, what do they have, Darren? Tarps, water, MREs. What is it? The baseball park, yeah. And there was food trucks set up there too. Everything was free.
Oh, at the Old Family Table Restaurant, they're opening up today at 4 o'clock. They're going to be giving out 400 free meals if anybody needs it down there. On the way here, Eric's customer has a connection to 911 volunteer group. They're coming down from New York City. He did the World Trade Center and for that amount of time in Puerto Rico. So if your customers need tarps or roofs done, San Pedro, they're having organizations there. That's a center, but they're going to get the names of places that need to be tarped. So that's something we can offer all our non-family members. So that's they're getting that situated now. We were talking that as we were coming here. The bill from Chamber of Commerce is part of that too. So if you do get names of people and they can't get someone else out there, these guys should be up in a day or two. They're on the process on it coming down now, but they wanted addresses. So we're gonna probably go to San Pedro and see who could get the list there and coordinate it with them because they've already been up and running for a week. So but that's another good organization, and it's all volunteer groups. So we'll probably be looking for volunteers to help put up parks too. So, but that's something we can let our customers know if they're at a dead end and can't get anything done.
Okay, we do have, yep.
Hey, Alicia and I were just talking about this, and I misspoke earlier about the force majeure thing. The 7 days really doesn't start until after the
Services?
the services and everything come back into play. What's that?
They come back on.
Yeah. So, I mean, then you start going to the question is, well, we don't have internet yet, right? A lot of houses don't have power yet. So I think it's going to be on a case-by-case basis when you can determine when that force majeure when the force majeure effect is over. All right, so we just probably need to take it on a case-by-case basis. Does that make sense, Ms. Weber?
Makes sense. to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feed us.
Where'd you go, Sherry?
Did you tell them we have hot dogs, hamburgers, waters? I think, what's that? Wine, we have wine too?
That's from our
So we can break hamburgers and drink wine. There is wine up here as well. Thank you all for coming. You all know my number. Hey everyone, excuse me, hello, we do have Premier Lending here from Melanie Brown's office, is a loan firearms as well. What's your name? I'm sorry, here he is. Yeah, you can find it. You can find it.
Hello everyone, my name is Tommy and I'm with Renovation Lending, Melanie Brown's office in Arcadia. We came here a little late, so my apologies. We were kind of caught in traffic, so just find me if you can and I will answer any questions you have.
Hey guys, just want to let you know, Kevin just came up to me and make sure that everybody understands that if you need internet, you need to print, you need a cold drink, whatever you need, Suncoast One is there for you. The Punta Gorda office here, Northport, okay, those are going to be the closest offices and they're ready to go. Conference rooms if you need to meet, because Port Charlotte's buyer's room is not going to be ready anytime soon, so I appreciate Kevin letting us lean on his facility, so if you need to meet with buyers or sellers, you can do it there. Thank you, sir. Andy brought wine.
Yeah, absolutely. There's drying equipment everywhere. Everybody's doors are open. I had to get the dryers going. It didn't look bad at all, but yeah, you can go. The door's on the lockbox. I'll text you the code so you have it. But yeah, and you can share that code with other